very disappointing sports podcast. I'm Brandon Perna here with Will Keys as we react to what happened to the Broncos on Monday Night Football. And basically Will Keys' worst fucking nightmare came true last night as Patrick Mahomes' legacy of being this stud, all-pro, legendary quarterback for the next 100 years came true right in front of Will Keys' face. How are you doing, Will?
Very bad. I'm doing very bad. They just wouldn't stop calling him Showtime Mahomes, and it's like they had a production meeting at ESPN, and they're just like, we need to drive this nickname to the fucking ground.
Showtime Mahomes.
They did a great job of doing that. I'd never heard anybody call him that before, and I don't think anybody's going to call him that afterwards because Jason Witten and Joe Tessitore aren't very cool.
No, they are not.
Yeah, they were
the opposite of cool.
I don't think I've ever seen a player – like, he deserved it for the last two drives. But, I don't think I've ever seen a player get his nuts just completely hugged like that on a national broadcast.
Have you been watching Tom Brady for the past 15 years?
It was different, though. It felt different.
That's because Patrick Mahomes is new. He's like a new shiny toy. Like Tom Brady is like when you had a regular Nintendo. And now Patrick Mahomes is the Super Nintendo, and everybody just wants to throw their old fucking Nintendos away, and they're going to talk about how cool the Super Nintendo is. Yeah, I could have went with an Xbox One or PS4 reference, but we're going to the classics here: Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I think Booger McFarland is the best part of the Monday Night Football broadcast. But you're right that the Mahomes love is insane. It's not just, you said they kept calling him Showtime. It's also what were they calling his arm? The fire thrower? The
flamethrower.
The flamethrower. Yeah, fire thrower. God, I heard him because they did the graphic before the game where they had animated Patrick Mahomes and his arm was a flamethrower. It was really stupid. But then during the game, I heard it was probably Witten be like, and there's that flamethrower right arm we've been talking about. I'm like, oh, come on. We get it. Yeah, he's good. We get it.
Yeah, no, Witten, not to harp too much on the broadcast because Witten's new, and not everybody's going to be Tony Romo in their first few games.
I would
straight from the field to the booth. I know you would.
Thank you.
But you're not like everybody. But he's just really fucking bad.
Oh yeah.
He was calling out Cortland Sutton for not making that catch in the end zone when he literally got his arm pulled away from him and could only get one hand on the ball. He's like, "You got to make that catch, young man." His
arm was pinned. His arm was.
Yeah.
If they got the pass interference, I mean, that's probably just the mentality of a guy who'd been in the league for as long as he did and played as well as he did. I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Witten somehow would have made that catch in a game. But you're right. Criticizing Sutton for for getting pass interfered and not catching it, a little stupid.
Yeah.
But what
also,
go
ahead.
Sorry, just to we just jumped right in here. We're recapping the Broncos' 27-23 loss to the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, where Patrick Mahomes basically led a fourth quarter comeback win. Chiefs are down 10 points in the fourth quarter. He leads 2 touchdown drives, and we're going to just get into how that basically emotionally scarred us forever.
Yeah, no. Where do you think this ranks on your all-time loss scale? I know you've been watching for a significant amount longer than me, but this one's, I don't know. I can
honestly,
I can think that hurt more than this one.
I felt like when the Broncos had the chance to beat the Chiefs at home with Simeon.
Yeah.
That one stung worse to me Maybe because like I've already accepted the fact that I think this Broncos team is just going to be average. And I think because heading into this game, I thought there was a good chance the Chiefs would blow out the Broncos because they've been so good against everybody they've played. So don't get me wrong, the way that game ended, it hurts. But I liked some of the things I saw from the Broncos, as maybe as that sounds. Okay, so basically our connection just dropped out. We're jumping back in, pretending like we remember what we were saying. I think I was saying that the loss didn't sting as much because I expect this team to kind of be – the Broncos team to be kind of average right now, and they played better than I thought. I thought the secondary did a very good job in this game, especially after I'm sort of like rewatching the tape. The tape, as they say in the business. I'm watching
all
that.
22.
But all 22 is not even up yet, but I am watching the film, guys. Now, what happened in this game that everybody is talking about? One, Patrick Mahomes, great playing of quarterbacking. Two, did DT slow down? Did Demaryius Thomas slow down for the game winner? And the referees missing the zeros on the game clock, and was Patrick Mahomes over the line? So I think those are kind of the things you and I are going to jump into throughout this episode. But that's me trying to get us back into this podcast after it flaked. My freaking internet flaked on us.
Well, let's start with that Keenum throw, because everybody after a loss this basically excruciating, a loss that feels like you've had all of your teeth pulled at once. People just want to create a scapegoat, and they don't really care who it is, and they'll just point to one thing and say, well, we either have to pin 100% of this loss on Case Keenum or Demaryius Thomas for getting out of his route slow or whatever. And I don't know. The defense, Shaq Barrett was blaming the whole game on himself, basically.
Yeah, he gave up one play all game.
Yeah, plus he covered Harris down the field on that long pass. Yeah, I thought he played pretty well.
Shaq Barrett is the least of the defensive problems. But that's the mentality you want every defensive player to have, I think.
No, definitely.
Right now, the guy that kind of worries me the most is Chris Harris and how vocally critical he is of the coaching. Like, Chris Harris, usually pretty even-keeled type guy, but he is vocaling some opinions that may be true within the locker room, and they may be completely valid. I'm not saying like they're not, but when you start putting it out there, I don't think that helps your team in any way. But that's almost a whole different thing to talk about, because the other people taking the blame today are the coaches and the coaching staff. But let's talk about the Keenum throw for a minute, because you can't put the whole game on that throw.
No.
But I think great quarterbacks in those situations, they make that play. They make that throw. Like, if Patrick Mahomes had that same opportunity, he's hitting Demaryius Thomas. You know what I mean? If Aaron Rodgers is in that situation, he's completing that pass. And I think rewatching it several times now is just an overthrown ball by Case Keenum. You're trying to split the coverage there between the corner and the safety up top who's coming in towards Demaryius Thomas. Like, DT was in the right place. The ball was not in the right place for him to make a catch. Some people pulled this image of DT against the Chiefs jumping in the end zone, making like this one-handed grab from years ago. Yeah. It's like it's a different situation. Like, DT was not in a position to leap and make a one-handed grab because the ball wasn't even in a position for him to do that. So I don't think Demaryius Thomas deserves as much blame as he's getting. I think it's insane. And
I think we can. I mean, that play aside, like, I think I'm more critical of him for just not making plays throughout the other 59 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I also think it's fair to remind people that the play right before that, Case Keenum had an interception dropped by the Chiefs. So that was 2 bad throws in a row. And that's not to say that Keenum's like a bad quarterback. I just don't think he can be a quarterback who's going to uplift your team on a consistent basis. Like, he's like a 6.5 or a 7. Like, he's going to give you some great plays sometimes, but he's not consistently ever going to be a guy who opposing teams fear is going to beat them no matter what. And I think those 2 late throws are examples of that. But I also think his throw to Emmanuel Sanders on 4th and 11 to keep that drive alive was clutch. And I think him finding Jeff Hireman for that big, like, 32-yard gain to get the Broncos in a position to have a chance to win was clutch as well. Like, it's just a mixed bag with Keenum. And I think it's becoming kind of evident why maybe Minnesota was willing to move on. And obviously Kirk Cousins is playing a lot better than Case Keenum right now. But
although it's not showing on the wins and losses at this point. I don't think it's his fault, though, obviously. One thing I will say is Case Keenum, however well or not well he played, he had that 1 interception that I really don't think was his fault at all. I think that was just a great play by the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, that was an insanely good play by the Chiefs defense. Also, Jake Butt wouldn't have given that ball up. Let's just say he's stronger than Jeff Hireman. Let's put that out there.
It's true. Can't argue with that. He gave you a 10-point lead at home in the fourth quarter. You should win that game 10 times out of 10.
You should.
Or at least not lose it in regulation, you know?
Right. There's so many – in a loss like this, there's so many things you can point to. Like the opening drive by the Broncos offense, they had to settle for a field goal after, they convert 3 first downs on first down. And they were running the ball extremely well. And then all of a sudden, run stopped. Garrett Bolles can't block. Keenum takes like the sack, and they just have to settle for a field goal there. So when you leave points on the board in a game like this, you can criticize all of it. I don't know why Royce Freeman only gets 8 carries when he's averaging like
8 yards a carry.
8 yards or 12 yards a carry. I forget. He had 8 carries for 67 yards. And late in the game, like, where was he?
The 3 and out was killer after they gave up the touchdown to make it a 3-point game.
It was. And I think, talking just a little bit more about Keenum before we move on, the thing I noticed rewatching through some of this is he does not have the best feel in the pocket. And we've kind of already discussed this, but I think in that first series with the sack that Garrett Bolles gave up, Jared Valdir pushes D Ford kind of in front of Keenum. So Keenum can't step straight up into the pocket, but he could step over to the right, and he could have avoided that sack, but he just did not feel the pressure coming from, Garrett Bolles' side. That is his blind side, and they call it blind side because you can't fucking see. But, the quarterbacks who just kind of have that instinct to shift into parts of the pocket where there's room to go, those are like the little things that I'm seeing that you're just like, oh, if you would have stepped up to the right just half a second sooner, he would have been able to make a play or decided to take off and run there. So it's those little things that kind of, are, I don't know. Those are just things I don't feel like you can teach. It's like quarterbacks either kind of have them or they don't. And I'm not sure Keenum does.
He's pretty decent at avoiding pressure when it's already there and kind of extending the play, but he's not great at just like maneuvering the pocket and keeping the play on schedule. Just kind of like climbing the ladder, as they say with quarterbacks. Right. But, if we were to assign blame, which like, I don't know, I'm not huge on it, but I think after this game, it's just like something so terrible. You have to kind of talk about it. But the big problems I saw last night were, the inability to keep running. Or not the inability, but the unwillingness to keep running the football after it was working so well for 3 quarters. B, Garrett Bolles was pretty awful for most of the game. gave up, what was it, 2 or 3 sacks, gave up a sack to start the final drive, which put them behind and lost them their last time out, which was obviously huge at the end.
That's a really good point.
I'm going to complain about the refs just because the play clock was at 0. It was. The official was looking right at it. He didn't throw the flag. He didn't blow the whistle. And it ended up being a huge gain down the field to Demaryius Harris, which set up the Chiefs' game-winning touchdown. And that was a huge play.
Right.
Obviously, they have him in 2nd and 30, and they shouldn't be in that situation to begin with. But there's no excuse for that either. Obviously, like I said, though, they have to play. They have to make more plays on defense. They had to make one play. There were a few near interceptions on Patrick Mahomes throughout the game. They didn't get any of them. Bradley Roby had a chance. Shaq Barrett, who we talked about earlier, probably shouldn't be that deep in coverage, but he had his hands on a pick and didn't pull it down. And the fourth thing, I think it was the fourth thing I want to complain about with this game was there was no interior pass rush. Patrick Mahomes could just step up or move out of the pocket, and Von Miller's rush was basically completely ineffective. Gotsis and Wolf weren't really getting any sort of pressure whatsoever, and that's really the key to Von Miller playing well and getting enough pass rush is Derek Wolf pushing the pocket, and he wasn't able to do that because the Chiefs guards were really good. I thought Mitchell Schwartz did a really good job with Von Miller too, and he didn't get to the quarterback when the game was on the line, when he usually does.
Yeah. No, my preview of this game was pretty spot on.
It was.
If we're going to be honest about it, guys. But no, you're right. It's not only that. Adam Gotsis is doing almost nothing for the defensive line, I feel like. And so the players are complaining about Joe Woods and the scheme and things like that. And for the most part, I thought he called a pretty good game. And I was looking at a play late in the game where they did bring a pass rush. I think it might have been on the 3rd or 2nd and 30. So they bring 5 guys. So they bring an extra guy for pressure. The only defensive lineman in the game on that play was Adam Gotsis. The other pass rushers were Chubb, Brandon Marshall, Will Parks, and Darian Stewart. So on a 2nd and 30, 2 of your pass rushers are guys you could argue should be in coverage.
Yeah.
And you don't have Wolf or Pecco or Harris or Kerr in there to kind of manhandle that line. And the Broncos got pressure on that play, but Mahomes, like he did many times, he rolled out, he extended the play, and he completes a pass, or maybe I'm thinking of when he completed it to Tyreek Hill on 3rd and 15. Sorry, yeah, that's the play I'm thinking. It was 3rd and 16. He completed the pass to Tyreek Hill, who Chris Harris was in coverage on. Gave up. He was in good coverage, but he gave up the pass to Hill. So that led to a 4th and 1 that the Chiefs went for and converted.
Yeah. And on that second and 30, they were playing man coverage too, which one of the only things I agreed with in the broadcast, they were asking, why would you play man coverage on 2nd and 30? Just keep the ball in front of you. They didn't do that. They ended up getting 23 yards, so a huge chunk of it.
They got 23 yards. They did have pressure there, but again, Mahomes rolled out, and in man coverage, the risk you're running there is that a guy's going to break open if a play is extended, and that's exactly what happened. But I'm not going to over critique the defense the Broncos were in there. It's just the Chiefs offense just made a better play again. And looking back at a lot of plays, the guys were in position, like you said, to make a play. The Chiefs just out-executed them. I think on their first touchdown drive in the 4th quarter, Brandon Marshall had great coverage on Travis Kelce, but Kelce just makes a better catch, and Mahomes put it in a place where, only Kelce's going to get it. If he gets it, Marshall had his hand on Kelce's arms, and I'm not going to blame Brandon Marshall for that. I was like, oh shit, that's really good coverage. You just made a fucking play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's really hard to like you said, blame one person or group. The defense, I thought the secondary had to play in coverage longer than they had any game this season, and for the most part did a pretty good job, except in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs take a 6.5-minute drive. I think they just wore the defense out, and then the offense comes in and goes 3 and out. Doesn't even give the defense a chance to basically recover, and the Chiefs go down and score quickly again. But really, if you want to blame the defense, I think you blame the interior pass rush, like you said, or just the pass rush in general. But the Broncos were not good against the run, something that they had been good against in every game. But Kareem Hunt, 121 yards, and he had a few big plays where guys missed tackles on him and just got out of position.
Yeah, there were like 3 missed tackles on that 46-yard run. Gotsis just tried to arm tackle him near the sideline.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything. Someone else missed too. I can't remember who, but that was about as poor of a tackling performance as that Royce Freeman touchdown run.
Yeah, it's just poor execution. And then, I mean, on that the fourth quarter touchdown drive too for the Chiefs, it's 3rd down. It's right after Adam Jones makes a great stop on Tyreek Hill, which I'm like, oh shit, how's Adam Jones fast enough to catch Tyreek Hill? It's the 3rd down. Von Miller gets to Mahomes, but Mahomes switches the ball to his left hand and completes a pass to Tyreek Hill for a 1st down. Like Miller is tackling him. As he's getting tackled, he makes a left-handed throw. It's just like, I don't know why Tyreek Hill got so open, but I don't know how you stop that. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how you freaking stop that. And when the offense needed a big play, the Broncos didn't get it from him.
It's kind of ironic because I always complain about how every young quarterback who's like even slightly elusive gets compared to Ben Roethlisberger because I feel like it's super lazy. But I think Vic Lombardi made a really good point on Twitter that Mahomes actually plays like early Roethlisberger, where he didn't really throw a lot on schedule, and he kind of just turns every play into sandlot football and is just impossible to bring down and throws the ball always at the last second on time. And that's kind of what it felt like. I don't know, just to be on character and question Patrick Mahomes a little bit more. I don't know if that's the recipe for a long sustained career in the NFL, but it's working right now.
Yeah. And it is if you are like Ben Roethlisberger, or I mean, I think he looks more. I think he plays the game to me a little bit more like Aaron Rodgers than Ben Roethlisberger. In that Rodgers, like when you watch him play, he does the on schedule throws really well, which I think Mahomes has to kind of grow into. But I don't know. Rodgers moves around the pocket and extends plays. Like, to me, Ben Roethlisberger, when he was young, he would extend plays by kind of shifting and moving around the pocket, but he would also just – I guess you couldn't tackle him. And I guess the Broncos kind of had that issue too with Mahomes. But their issue tackling him wasn't because he was just bigger and stronger than him. Like, when I think of Roethlisberger, I think of like a guy on him, and he still just, makes the throw. Mahomes, it looked like the Broncos had chances to sack him. Shane Ray trips and falls on his way to sack him. Darian Stewart just whiffs when he has a chance to get at him. And Von Miller just kind of wasn't fast enough to get him. So maybe it's just maybe you're right. Maybe it isn't. It is more like Roethlisberger now that I talk about it loudly. But
now that I think about it. So we were talking about it before we cut out, but where does this rank for you on most painful losses of all time? I'd have to assume either the Super Bowl, Baltimore, or Jacksonville in '96 are.
Yeah, those are up there. I honestly like some of the worst Broncos Chiefs losses for me were when I lived in Wichita, Kansas.
That doesn't help.
So I remember being over at my buddy Josh Riesgo's house. His family, they were big Chiefs fans. I was a Broncos fan. And it was, oh, man, who was their kicker then? It was 97. So it was the first Super Bowl year. But the Chiefs.
Oh, I know what game you're talking about.
They won on a last-second, 54-yard field goal. And I just remember being just crushed because I thought the Broncos were going to win. And I'm over around all these Chiefs fans. And it's not like they rubbed it in my face or anything. Like, they were cool about it. But that one, to me, I just remember stinging a lot. And then also the Montana-Elway battle when I think Montana got the win.
94, another Monday night game.
Yeah, I was young, but I remember being pretty upset about that as well. So to me, those losses hurt a little more than this one. What about you? What are you putting this one up pretty high up there?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to contextualize because I think I was already in a bad place because the Rockies lost to the Dodgers in pretty not as heartbreaking, definitely, because they went down early. But that was a bad way to start the day, definitely. But I don't think anything will top Baltimore in 2012 just because I thought that team was good enough to win the Super Bowl that year.
That one was horrible.
And just everything went wrong for them in that game. That Chiefs game that we mentioned from 2016, another time they had a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter and blew it again. That was pretty fucking tough.
I just feel like losses like this are payback. It's like football karma working itself out. Like, I think of the Jamal Charles fumble in the Broncos 2015. Like, that win for the Broncos was insane, and that one had to hurt so bad for Chiefs fans. And because of that, as Broncos fans, we are paying the fucking football karma gods, and we've been paying for 3 years now. So it's about to be
long enough.
I think maybe the Broncos will go into Arrowhead and get a win, and we'll be back on even Stevens. But I think for you, I don't hate Patrick Mahomes yet.
You'll get there.
I know I will. Here's the thing. Last night, before the game, I thought ESPN did a good story on him. I think he's a likable guy. I think he plays the game in a way that is fun to watch. But watching him get that victory, seeing his excitement and his cockiness, that is going to get worse. And he is going to turn into, I think, the next Tom Brady for me, where I didn't mind Tom Brady in the first couple years of his career. And then over time, he grew to be the cancerous tumor that just follows me through football. And since Mahomes is in the same division as the Broncos, since they're going to have to play him twice a year, the only thing that's really looking like it's going to stop him right now is an injury, or if Andy Reid retires and they bring in some coach that is just a horrible fit for him. A lot can happen. For you to have a long career and be great, you have to either transcend all of those things, or you have to be in the right situation your entire career, like Brady and Belichick together. But I feel the hate is going to come up strongly, and I am going to hate Patrick Mahomes for all of the right football reasons. No real true merit to it, but I see that coming too.
Yeah, I think the difference is just I know it's going to happen, and just knowing that it's going to happen just creates it already just deep inside my stomach and my soul.
Yeah.
And I can foresee the next 10 years, and I don't like what I see. But I think we need to start the petition for the Chiefs when they get rid of Andy Reid, which eventually will happen. He's been coaching a really long time. They're going to need to hire Josh McDaniels. I think we need to start that movement.
Hire McDaniels.
Yep.
Hire Vance Joseph. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. That might be worse. What do you think about all the – because, all right, so if Twitter ran the team this week, the 3 moves they would make.
Dude, if the XFL was smart, they would have one team that is all personnel decisions are decided by Twitter every week.
I don't hate it. That team would be terrible, but it'd be hilarious. It'd be very entertaining. Yeah, so they had fired Vance Joseph. They would have fired Vance Joseph a long time ago, probably like this time last year, most likely. But they would do that after the game. They would probably fire Joe Woods, and Chad Kelly would be starting next week.
Yeah, which means you're
And
left with
DT would be cut too.
Yeah, he'd be cut and banned from the league.
Yeah, possibly executed in the town square for all to see.
It's insane. I mean, like if you fire Vance Joseph mid-season, who do you have? Who's your head coach? Do you trust Bill Musgrave to run the team? If you get rid of Joe Woods, which defensive coordinator's coming in? Like who's under Joe Woods that everybody's talking about is this great defensive mind? Like I don't know who that is. I don't really ever agree with firing coaches mid-season. Unless you think you've got a guy on your roster who you might want to be the next coach.
I think sometimes it works, not works, but it's a good move. Like I think firing Josh McDaniels.
He's the exception. You can always fire McDaniels whenever the hell you want.
True. The Colts fired him before he even played a game, is what I choose to believe.
Yeah, it's all those decisions have ramifications, and the Broncos are just kind of paying for, I think, some of the poor decisions they've made. Garrett Bolles being one, Paxton Lynch being one, Wade Phillips being gone is another.
That one hurts.
I mean, if you get rid of Woods, who are you going to bring in? Is Kubiak going to come in and coach? Like, I don't know. I don't think that's much better. I don't know. To me, the other thing I wanted to mention was, it's back to Mahomes in that people also want to compare him to Deshaun Watson and say, look what happened to Watson. Like, he's not that great now after an amazing initial 5 games. To me, the difference is Mahomes is a better thrower than Deshaun Watson. And Watson, as good as he was playing early, was throwing a lot of interceptions as well. Mahomes has 0 interceptions through 4 games. Like
he did have some very, very interceptable passes last night.
He did, but it didn't happen. Like for the most part, he is.
Will though. They'll even out. They always do.
I don't know if they'll even out. He'll definitely throw some picks, but I think he's always going to have pretty good touchdown to interception ratio. I thought he was going to struggle this year. In my Chiefs prediction episode before the season, I thought he was definitely not going to play this good. So we'll see. The season's long, and he's going to hit some the Chiefs are. Who do they have coming up? I think they have to play
the Jaguars.
Jacksonville. They have to play the Rams as well, right? Do you have to play New England?
They have to play the Rams. They have to play New England because they both won the division last year. So they've got some tough teams coming up.
And their defense is not good. No. The Broncos should have taken more advantage of that defense. They should have scored more points. That's the thing. The Chiefs as a team aren't there yet. They have figured out their quarterback and their offense, but their defense is not good.
I still don't think that this is a team that's built to succeed in the long run in terms of a single season. They're a great September, October team, as they have been since Andy Reid got there. But Patrick Mahomes, as good as he's playing right now, and I'm not saying this jokingly, as in character of hating him, but he's going to regress. He is. He's not going to keep up this pace. He's going to start throwing some picks. He's going to have some bad games. I mean, you saw it. He did start to regress last night until the last, 10 minutes of the game. He looked like he was really coming back down to earth, and maybe that was the Broncos defense playing out of their minds for most of the game, but it's going to happen at some point, and they're not going to keep this pace forever, and it's just kind of a matter of when. And they tried to trade for Earl Thomas from the Seahawks, which was reported yesterday. Unfortunately, Earl Thomas ended up breaking his leg, so that's not going to happen this season. But they're really going to be in trouble when they play a good team with an offense like New England or a team like Jacksonville that can control the ball and keep it out of their offense's hands.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they try and shore up that defense. like this offseason. I don't know where their cap situation is or how many draft picks they have, but they need to get a respectable defense to be, I think, like a true contender.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna have to pay. They're gonna have to pay Tyreek Hill soon. They're not. I don't think they won't have to pay Kareem Hunt for another year. I don't know what the situation is on Kelce. I think they've already paid him.
Yeah.
And yeah, they don't really have anybody on defense that they need to pay because they traded away Marcus Peters.
No, but they need to acquire some guys.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like, here's the last night. Okay, the Chiefs defense, their only two like very good players are D Ford and Justin Houston, and it was like the Broncos had no fucking plan for those guys.
Absolutely.
And also, I think Billy Turner's outplaying Jared Veldheer.
Yeah, no, the Monday night broadcast didn't even mention that Veldheer left with an injury and Billy Turner came in and played the rest of the game for him.
Yeah,
which is another
at right tackle,
play,
and
but he did okay.
I think Billy Turner. I mean, if Garrett Bolles, like, I don't know what Veldheer's knee injury is. If it's not serious and he can get back on the field, I think you can talk about moving Veldheer to left tackle and leaving Billy Turner in at right tackle and using Garrett Bolles in situational football, because wasn't Veldheer a left tackle most of his career and then he moved to right tackle, or am I making that up?
No, you're right. He played left tackle for the Raiders for most of his career. Pretty well too.
Yeah, no, he was, when the Cardinals signed him, it was a big acquisition. So,
he wasn't great before he got hurt, too. He wasn't giving up sacks, but he got pushed and wasn't creating a very good pocket for Keenum.
No,
Bolles,
I mean,
Bolles is so inconsistent, you can't count on him.
Yeah, Bolles isn't just like he gives up pressure. It's he gives up pressure, and then the next play he tries to make up for it by getting a penalty. Yeah. He's
just not a very smart. Like, I think he's too emotional for a left tackle. Like, there's a reason that great offensive linemen seem to be such low-key guys, because they're, they have a short memory. They're smart too. I don't know if Garrett Bolles, he's very athletic. I don't know if he's the smartest player be a offensive line.
Yeah, you could argue the exact opposite of that. But I mean, he's said he has a learning disability. Like, he's publicly talked about that. So it's not like one of those things you want to make light of or make fun of. But
no, but at the same time, like, I don't know if that's a guy you want to hang your hat on as a first-round pick to play left tackle for 10 years.
That was a pick when the Broncos made it. Like,
people were upset.
I had a sinking feeling in my stomach. I remember when they did that, and then I tried to find like a positive spin on it, because I don't like to be the guy who just shits on everything my team does.
There's enough of those.
And like, I don't think they needed to reach for a lineman at that spot. But they should have. I mean, they clearly should have taken Ryan Ramczyk instead. He's a much better player. He had a little bit of an injury concern, which hasn't stopped the Broncos from drafting fucking tight ends. So I don't know why that would bother him at tackle. If you think about, I forgot that like Jeff Hireman had knee injuries coming into the Broncos. Here's a tight end we really like with knee injury problems. Jake Butt, here's a tight end with knee injury problems we really like. Troy Fumagalli, here he's got a hernia, but we really like him. Like,
he doesn't even have 10 fingers.
But like, Fumagalli if Butt and Fumagalli can get healthy, they might be good. But right now, to help this team, it's tough.
No, I wasn't very happy with the Garrett Bolles drafting. I remember I was watching that draft when I was overseas in Ireland, and I had to stay up until like 5 a.m. to watch the first round.
Nice.
And when I was waiting for O.J. Howard, because he kept falling and falling, and I wanted the Broncos to get him so badly, and the Buccaneers picked him the pick before the Broncos. And once they called Garrett Bolles' name, I was just like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah.
So it's those decisions. I mean, the thing is, I think this last draft is going to be better for the Broncos. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it already is.
I think they
It's
need to
already
start.
showing up.
Yeah, I think at some point Chubb he needs to start producing more. But again, I wouldn't be overly critical of Bradley Chubb right now because a lot of times that position, the players don't really figure it out until season 2. Like, unless it's fucking Joey Bosa or Von Miller, which we have talked about, the truly special guys come in and are very good right away. Like, I think that's a position that it takes some learning to do to figure out how you need to rush the passer, how you need to identify, what the offense is going to do, and like a lot of little things that I don't understand because I'm not a coach and I don't want to be, but like I think people are starting to be kind of critical on Chubb as well. So, and the Broncos do need more from their pass rush. Outside of the first game against Seattle, like it's just gotten, I feel like, worse and worse every week. So,
can't argue with that.
That's about. I mean, the Chiefs have a decent offensive line.
They do. That really doesn't get talked about enough. The guards were incredible last night.
You've got a doctor on the line. Like, how are you going to beat that?
He's not only a doctor of medicine, but a doctor of pass blocking. He played really well.
Yeah, he should have his own like show. That's like half medical, half football.
It's like a combination of like House and Ballers put together.
Right.
I think that would be a great show.
I'd watch that.
Mm-hmm. And he's French, so he pronounces things funny, I think.
Laurent Duvernay Tardif.
Yeah. So I guess last thing to mention from this game, just to kind of end it on a positive note, Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman looked really good.
Yes. No, and the offensive line for their struggles, on the edges and pass protection, pretty good run blocking unit. I'm confident, and it seems like the offense, the only time it really works is when the running game is going. I don't know. They got to play the Jets. They're going to be playing at the Jets. The Jets defense, I think, is actually decent against the run. So it's going to that'll be a good test. But Broncos have to win that game because they're a better team than the Jets. And for fans to have hope for the rest of this season, like for 8-8 or 9-7, the Broncos have to go in and beat the Jets. So we'll highlight that game on Thursday, like normal. This episode going up a day late because we just wanted to recap the Broncos. And we'll be back Thursday. And
yes, we will.
Try not to cry about this loss for too long.
Go Rockies.
Oh, yeah, Rockies, big game today.